thank you for letting me introduce Secretary Carson. Appreciate that. Anyway, Secretary, as I said earlier, I was so excited when you called us and you agreed to come out here. And like I said, that you have a booked schedule, your day was booked, and you promised me you would move around things, the schedule around a little bit. And it just showed, and you also said to me that you're really interested in helping LA and to help California and to help the homeless. So you have been fantastic. Thank you very much. Please, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Secretary Carson.
Well, thank you, Governor, and thank you all for being here. You know, I feel right at home in an academic institution because I spent most of my professional career in academia. And I heard so many stories about Saul Price because he was a great influencer of Jim Sinegal, who founded Costco, and I sat on their board for 16 years. So I heard a lot of Saul Price stories and was delighted about his social consciousness. It's wonderful to be here with so many impactful leaders in Southern California. And I want to thank Dean Knott, as well as President Folt, Mayor Steinberg, Mayor Garcia, Mayor Faulkner, Mayor Garcetti, Supervisor Barger, Governor Davis, and of course, Governor Schwarzenegger, who could be doing anything he wanted to do in the world, and yet has chosen to do this. We really appreciate you. Thank you so much, Governor. You know, I know that we're running a little late, and the good thing is I'm a surgeon, so I can cut, so not a problem. But the Schwarzenegger Institute has a noble mission that I think everybody in this room agrees with. And we should focus on good policies as opposed to good politics. If there is such a thing as good politics, I'm not sure there is, quite frankly. You know, we have become so political in our society that we sometimes don't even listen to ideals from people who are in a different party. And I think it's imperative that Americans, not Republicans or Democrats, but Americans, recognize that we're not each other's enemies. And the fact of the matter is, even if somebody disagrees with you, it doesn't make them your enemy. I'm fond of saying if two people agree about everything, one of them isn't necessary. So I think we need everybody, and we need to think about things a little bit differently. You know, we want to promote promise and potential for all Americans, and particularly those of us in public service. Because what is public service? It means you're actually serving the people, not yourself. And perhaps there's no single issue that's more important today than the ideal of a place for everybody to live that is safe, high quality, and affordable. And I'm here in Southern California this week as part of our national tour, a bus tour, driving affordable housing across America. And we're talking to local officials everywhere because, believe it or not, the best answers and the best solutions don't always come from a bunch of bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. They actually come from people with boots on the ground who are dealing with the issues. And that's what America is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a place that's of, for, and by the people. And therefore, we obviously need to hear from the people and the people who represent them. That's what we're trying to do right now, to take care of the so many vulnerable Americans who have fallen victim to homelessness. And in some cases, it's not homelessness, but it's severe economic distress, secondary to the fact that so much of their income is devoted to housing that it limits their ability to think about or do anything else. Those are severe problems too. 37 million American families pay a third of their income for housing. Those are distressed families. And 18 million pay half or more of their income, severely distressed people. All of us know individuals like that. We may not know they're in that situation, but we know them. There are probably some people like that sitting in this room today. We need to learn what real compassion is. The health of a community starts at home. The home is the basis of the community, and the community is the basis of the nation. And if we want to have a strong and fair nation, then we have to have strong and fair policies that will allow the people, the constituents of that nation, to be able to live in safe and affordable housing. Now, in some cases, housing prices have risen to such a level that we have a workforce that actually is able to work, to hold the job down, but cannot afford a place to live. And I had a series of stories I was going to tell you about people, but I'm going to just cut those because I know you know many of those stories already. But that's the reason that we're going to have to really concentrate on what's going on right now so that more of those stories don't develop. I mean, this is America. This is the can-do nation. And as was pointed out by a previous speaker, we've overcome much more difficult problems than this. But when we have overcome those problems, we have overcome them together. Federal, state, local, for-profits, non-for-profits, faith-based. You know, you'll be hearing in a few weeks a rollout that we're doing targeting faith-based organizations, churches. Churches used to do what we do at HUD. And actually, they did a better job because they were able to develop real relationships with people. And we're going to be calling upon every church, synagogue, mosque in America to adopt a homeless person or a homeless family with a goal of making them self-sufficient within 1 year. Can you imagine what the impact of that would be? Pretty much wipe out homelessness. And we need to be able to work together, not say, well, only I can do it, you can't do it because you believe this or you believe that. That's a bunch of crap. You know, we need to get beyond that and start thinking about the people that we're trying to help. If you have time today, if you haven't done so, take a walk in Skid Row and some of the other places and look at the faces of those individuals. You know, look at the hollowed out eyes, people who have lost all hope in America. Can we do better than that? We absolutely can. But it means we need to understand what compassion is. Compassion is not patting people on the head and saying, there, you poor little thing, I'm going to take care of all your needs. Compassion is providing the security and the love and the mechanism for that person to rise to the potential that our Creator put in them. That's what really gets someone going. When I was a youngster, you know, I was surrounded by a lot of people who really didn't have the aspiration to move up. They just wanted to get by. But, you know, I had a mother who had a different idea, even though she only had less than a third grade education. Got married when she was 13, trying to escape dire poverty, discovered that her husband was a bigamist, was trying to make it on her own, but she was never satisfied to just get by. She never let us be satisfied to just get by. And she made us stay in a house and read books while everybody else was outside playing. And her friends would criticize her, and they would say, you can't make boys stay in a house reading books. They'll grow up and they'll hate you. I used to overhear them, and I'd say, Mother, you know they're right. But, you know, she wasn't going to listen to that. And in the long run, she got the last laugh because one of her sons became a brain surgeon and the other became a rocket scientist. So she obviously had something going there. And we need to understand the enormous potential that lies within all of our people. We only have 330 million people. Sounds like a lot, but it's a quarter of what China has. It's a quarter of what India has. We're going to have to compete with them in the future. That means we need to develop all of our people if we're going to be able to do that. And the first step in that development is having a safe, decent, affordable place that you can call home. That's the home base for anybody. That's what we must begin to think about if we really want to be successful as a nation, and if we really want to be compassionate. One of the things that we've done at HUD is announced just recently, we're awarding more than $2 billion to support local homelessness assistance programs through the Continuum of Care program. And when we look for programs to support, we're not looking for ideology. We're looking for results. And I know there's a big argument about housing first versus, faith-based organizations versus other kinds of organizations. Guess what? It doesn't matter. What matters is, are they successful in getting people into the right place? Forget about the labels and forget about the ideology. But I do say it is good to get people off the street. It actually costs us less money if we get them off the street, and that's why I like housing first, but I like it even better when it's combined with housing second, which is diagnosing why they're on the street, and housing third, fixing it. That's what we are capable of doing if we're willing to work together. We are making some positive progress. In our 2019 point-in-time homeless data, we see that nearly 800 more homeless veterans were housed between 2018 and 2019, continuing the nationwide decline in veterans' homelessness at 50% over the last decade. And that's prompted 78 communities, 33 different states to declare an effective end to veterans' homelessness in certain areas. 3 states declared across the entire state: Connecticut, Virginia, and Delaware. And if we can do that for veterans, we can do it for everybody. One of the things that is very impressive is a program called the Hud Vash Program, in which HUD provides the housing and the VA provides the wraparound services. That's one of the reasons that we've had such a dramatic impact. We need to think about that for everybody. I was recently in San Antonio at a veterans homeless shelter. They told me that 90% of the veterans who enter there exit in a self-sufficient manner. We can do that for our population too. We don't just want to maintain people. We don't want to encourage dependency. We have amazing people in our country, and we want to develop them to their highest potential. We have the ability to do that, again, if we're willing to work together. The president has set out a bold agenda to help nearly 47 million American adults who are living with mental illness. And a lot of those people with mental illness end up on the street. We, again, have to recognize what compassion is when it comes to dealing with mental illness. It's not compassionate to take somebody who cannot take care of themselves and just say, you're on your own. That's not compassion. We need to figure out what it is that they need and provide the environment for them to get it. In many cases, people who are mentally ill can function perfectly well in society if they get their medications on a regular basis and have appropriate counseling and support. Those are the things we need to think about. When it comes to addiction problems, we need to recognize that changes occur within the brain of people who are addicted. It's not something they can just turn off or turn on. It only takes, in some cases, 2 weeks for those changes to occur. But it generally takes 12 to 18 months for those changes to be reversed. under the best of circumstances. Until we begin to understand these things, we will not make appropriate progress. We'll be just spitting in the ocean. But more importantly than that, again, is that compassion, that willingness to reach out our hand, not to look down on someone else. How many families are only 1 or 2 paychecks away from being homeless? There are a lot of them. You perhaps know some of them. We can do much better, and I think we will do much better. I've been very encouraged by many of the talks that I've had with the mayor here in Los Angeles, with the county supervisor, with even people on the state level. We all understand that there is a crisis here. And I think we're all agreeing that in order to solve that crisis, we must be willing to look at data. We must be willing to look at the evidence. We must be willing to throw away ideology and work together. Recognize that the federal government is willing to do this. We're willing to look at new programs. We're willing to emphasize and push new programs. We hope that everyone here will use their sphere of influence to help stamp out NIMBYism, which is behind a lot of the problems. Not in my backyard. I understand NIMBYism. For most people, the most valuable asset they have, their biggest investment, is their home, and they don't want it to be compromised. But NIMBYism has no place in today's society because there's no reason for it. There was a time when the government would come in on a white horse with a big bucket of money and build these gigantic multifamily complexes with no forethought, no afterthought, no support. It would quickly deteriorate, become the nidus for poverty and crime. Would anybody want that in their neighborhood? Of course not. Government doesn't do that anymore. Now we're talking about public-private partnerships. We're talking about mixed income developments that are consistent with the architectural design and the culture of the area. We're not talking about building multifamily developments in the middle of a block of single-family homes. We want nurses and teachers and firemen and policemen and mechanics to be able to live in the same neighborhood where they work. That enhances the neighborhood. It doesn't decrease the value of the neighborhood. And we want to start thinking about responsible ways to get people into homes. And again, our compassion must be mixed with common sense. You know, more than a decade ago, we were the compassionate society. Everybody deserved to be in a home that they owned. Why? Because the average net worth of a renter is $5,000. The average net worth of a homeowner is $200,000, a 40-fold difference. So yes, we can close the wealth gap, we can do all that, but guess what? When you put people in a home they can't afford, it's not compassionate. They lose the home, they lose their credit, they lose their future possibilities. Today, there are fewer African-American homeowners than there were before the crisis because their credit has been destroyed. We at HUD are looking for ways to remedy that by looking at other credit sources. But we're all going to have to combine our intellect to figure out how do we do these things, protect the taxpayer, but provide opportunities for our people at the same time. And it is something that we can absolutely do because the vast majority of people in this country are decent people. The vast majority of people in this country are not the people you see on the 6:30 news throwing water on the police and trying to hurt other people. The vast majority of people who care about their neighbor and who are willing to extend a helping hand. And we need to put aside the partisanship, the hatred, and just look at the facts. Look at the fact that a new construct of a single-family home, 25 to 27% of the cost is federal, state, and local regulations. For multifamily, it's up to 42%. That's what we're going to have to tackle. We have to move those things out of the way. It's not that we're not innovative people. We are extraordinarily innovative. We have made enormous progress with manufactured housing. A lot of people think that's trailers and double wides. Manufactured housings are so nice today. You cannot tell them from stick-built houses, and they're more tolerant to natural disasters. They accumulate equity just as fast, a lot less expensive, but we got all these regulations to keep them out. Modular homes, accessory dwelling units, 3D printable homes. I actually had the pleasure of driving the 3D printable home thing. It's really cool. But the fact of the matter is we've got all this stuff, but we can't use it because of the silly regulations and zoning restrictions, height restrictions, density restrictions, wetlands, unnecessary environmental fee structures. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. Between point A and point B, it should be a straight line, but it becomes a labyrinth because of all these things that are layered on top of each other. Can we fix that? We absolutely can. And again, it comes back to working together. We're not enemies. Let's stop spending time trying to denigrate each other, working against each other. This is an incredible nation that we live in. A lot of people like to tear us down, but the fact of the matter is, do you know of any other nation with caravans trying to get into it? There are a lot of nations where people are trying to get out of it. We're not perfect because we're inhabited by imperfect people. But let's learn from our imperfections, and let's correct those things, not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Our symbol is the bald eagle, a majestic bird flying high over everything. But it couldn't do that unless it had a right wing and a left wing. Two left wings that can't fly, two right wings that can't fly, but together it can soar high above, and we can solve our problems. Thank you so much.